Hi, Randy, K7AGE. I'm going to show you how to take this and one of these and turn it into So to do all this, WLED software is the key. It's all web-based, nothing you really have to download to your computer, so it's kind of computer independent. I learned about this digging around on YouTube, and I found lots of various channels. The one I kind of focused on was Chris Maher with his YouTube channel, and he's got all these extensive projects that he's done at home, and he has this quick setup video that you can watch. I'm going to kind of show you some of the basics here as well in my own video, but these are other resources that you can use. He moves along pretty quick. If you're doing your installation, you'll probably have to pause playing of the video so you can keep up with them, but you can do it. So to do all this, there's a few things you will need. One is one of these ESP32 processor modules, and these are fairly cheap. They're like in the $4 to $6 range. They include Wi-Fi, which is going to allow you to control this from your phone, which is kind of neat. So you need a strip of LEDs that you can hook up to the controller. This is what's going to make all the light. We'll talk about some various types of this here in a minute. So you need some way to power the LEDs. Now, to experiment with a short string, a few number of LEDs, you can use power them from the ESP32 microprocessor board when it's plugged into a USB cell phone charger or something. For more LEDs, I have this 5-volt power supply. It's a 10 amp one. This is one I've been using to experiment with. And for my more extensive number of LEDs I'll be using on my operating table behind me here, I have this 60 amp power supply. I don't think I'll use all 60 amps, but these things are not very expensive. There's lots to choose from. This is a BTF. They're one of the largest makers of the LED strips. So everything is available on Amazon. So these strips of LEDs are really interesting. You can buy strips of LEDs which look a lot like this, which have all red or all white, and that's all they do. These have a red, green, and blue, and sometimes white LED inside each one of these little cavities here. Along with the LEDs, 3 or 4 in that cavity, is basically a little simple processor. The way this works is that there's basically 3 wires to make this thing work. So you got +5, ground, and also data. So the data from the ESP32 goes into the first LED, and it looks for the commands for its LED, and it also passes the commands down to the next LED, to the next LED, to the next LED, to the next LED, and you can have literally hundreds of LEDs on a strip, and they all talk. So there is a direction to the strip. You can't see it here, but on the strip here is a little arrow which says the data's going this way. Don't feed it from the other end. Although on the other end, you could connect up another strip of LEDs. Again, each chip is addressable. The colors are all adjustable. I think there's like 256 levels for each of the 3 or 4 LEDs that are in there. They can have some interesting patterns. So the strips of LEDs come in all different flavors. Now you gotta start doing some planning and making some choices. The first ones I bought were these here, and you can see the LEDs are just about touching each other. There's 288 LEDs down this 2-meter strip. There's a lot of LEDs on here. These are RGB, red, green, blue LEDs. These make a very poor white. If you light them all up, the white that they produce is has a pretty good blue tint to it. So on the front of my table here, I wanted a better white. So I bought this row of LEDs, and these now include a white one as well as the RGB. And this is a 5-meter tape, and there's 300 LEDs on here, so the density is a lot lower than on this other one. This one has them touching. This one, it's about half the density, maybe a third the density. When I've been playing with these things, if you got the brightness all the way up, you're going to see spots in your eyes for a long time looking directly at them. They come in 5-volt varieties. You can get some, especially this type, the RGBs, they'll be powered from 12 volts. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to find any of the RGBW strips that you can power from 12 volts. We have a lot of 12 volts in our shack. A lot of times we have linear power supplies, but 5 volts is what it is. So I bought this row of LEDs and I got it hooked up, and I didn't like the white that it produced. So I stumbled across the Hookup YouTube channel, and he has a comparison of about 6 different LED strings. So he goes through the different lamps that are on them, the 5 volts and the 12 volt versions, the densities, and something that he shows, because he strings all these things out on the floor full length so you can see them all, is that there can be a significant voltage drop time you go down 15 feet of these when you feed the power from just at one end. I mean, it'll drop off to about half the brightness. So the way around that, you can actually hook your power supply up to both the sending end and also the receiving end. That's what these wires here, and that helps minimize the voltage drop over longer strings of LEDs. I don't think I'll have a trouble here because I'm only going 6 feet across my desk here. So I bought these again, the first LEDs that I bought, the RGBs. These are part of the 2812 generic family. These were about 10 bucks for the spool. They're pretty cheap. These, the RGBW strips, these are 6812s. These I got on Amazon. All the links will be in the comments below. The ESP32s, I got them on Amazon, 3 for $18. Get a pack of 3 if you blow one up, or if you may find some other projects you want to do. And then, the power supply, the 60 amp power supply. Got that on Amazon as well. So these LED strips, you can also cut them. There's these little copper pads that are between the LEDs. You just can cut through there. If you want to continue using where you cut, you can just solder on 3 wires and wire it up to the controller. Okay, let's look at the WLED website. This is where you're going to start with your configuration for your ESP32 board. So it's just do a Google search for WLED. It's knowwled.ge. That's not all important, but this is the home page, and I'm just going to scroll down through here. It tells you a lot of the features of the software, over 100 effects, fast LED noise effects, 50 palettes. You can set up segments. I can have a segment down below here as well as a segment up there, either from a single output of the ESP, or I can use multiple outputs to feed the segments. A lot of versatility there. You can have up to 10 LED strips on an ESP32, only 3 on a 8266, support for the RGBW, which I need, 250 user presets, so you can just have buttons to bring back a color or an effect. Full on-the-air software upgradability, configure analog clock, I don't know what all that's about, auto brightness, just all sorts of stuff you can do with this. It supports a lot of other control interfaces, which we're not going to deal with here. And I want to go down here to the quick start guide. So here it shows you what the software will look like on either your computer or on your phone when you get it all in running here. So we want to get over to the Get Started page, and it brings you up here. And one of the things we'll look at here is the schematic. Look at the schematic. I have not used a level shifter. I have not put a capacitor in here. I just basically just straight wire hookup. Now your ESP32 board can be powered from the 5-volt power supply, or you can not connect the wire here going into a pin on the ESP and power it through the USB connector. I've been powering it from the USB and only using the power supply to power the LEDs. You can go either way. So the 5 volts of the power supply go out, they go through a fuse. May be wise to do that, I haven't, to go to the plus V, the 5 volt pin on the strip. The ground side will connect to both the ESP32 to get everything at the same reference, as well as to the ground pin on the LED strip. Your data line will come off one of the GPI ports. You can select that, and basically it goes to the data input pin on the strip. And if we scroll down here a little bit more, I'll get to step 2, and I want to use WLED to flash my processor. I go to there, it opens up this page and tells you here, this is the fastest way, blah, blah, blah. Here is the installer site. So yeah, you have to go through about 4 levels here to get to things. Now this is where we can actually program the ESP32. Okay, so I have my ESP32 here, and I've got a USB cable. And before I plug this in, I want to look at Device Manager to see what COM ports are on my computer before I plug this in, because this will add a new COM port, and we'll need to know what the number is. So I have COMs 11, 12, 13, and 14 are my ICOM radios, 2 ports each. COM 3 I think is for my scanner. So let's plug this in the right way. Computer goes bing. I get a red LED, and I go back to Device Manager. I see COM 4 has appeared. It keeps moving. Okay, we can select between different versions, so I'm going to pick the most current, latest. We're doing plain, so that's dark, so that's selected. And I'm going to hit Install. This window comes up with all the COM ports on the computer. I want to select COM 4 and hit Connect, and it's connecting. And I want to, it gives me several choices because I have software loaded in here. So I'm going to say erase user data, and otherwise you would just go through the install. And this will take about 2 minutes. So it's going through and erasing all the previous bits. Now it's installing. It'll take about 2 minutes, it says. We'll come back. Okay, we're at 95% now. See if it finishes up. It says wrapping up. Just let it keep going. Installation complete. Ta-da! Hit next. We're going to configure the Wi-Fi in it. So we're going to connect this to my Wi-Fi in the house. So this is where you put in your network name. Mine is not your Wi-Fi. And I'll put in my password and connect. Trying to connect. Trying to connect. Connected to my network. I want to visit the device. So this is now the main WLED screen. And of course, it's not doing much right now because we don't have anything connected to it. But we can do some configuration here. And these are things that you can go through. This takes you back to this page. So config. So let's look at the LED preferences here. Right now it says a total of 30 LEDs. So we're going to change that. Maximum current. Let's say I can run 2 amps 2000 here. There's a limiter. If your power supply won't supply enough current, it won't drive the LEDs on to use more current than that. So that's probably a good safety thing to have. I'll just leave it on. It says LED voltage, we're 5 volts, 55 milliamps per LED. LED outputs. I'm going to hook up my RGBW strip, so it's the 6812. And I'm going to use, I don't see a GPIO 16 on there, so I'm going to change this to 15. There's lots of GPIO pins on here, so get your magnifying glass out and pick one. And I don't think I need anything else for now. I'm just scrolling down here, and this is all deeper stuff. You hit save, and now theoretically I should be able to hook up all the wiring and have it run. And I want to mention about the current draw of the strips here. So on the 2812, which has 288 LEDs over the 6 meter length, at 60 milliamps, when you figure that out and break it down, it's about 2.8 amps a foot. And the RGBW, the 6812 string of LEDs, which has 60 LEDs, no, which has 300 LEDs over the 5 meters, ends up being about 1 amp per foot. So that's how you can help calculate how much power supply you're going to need. Okay, I've got the LED strip connected to the ESP32. I'm not going to go walk through all the pins, and it's pretty small, hard to see, but basically the plus and minus 5 volts from the power supply, and I'm using the 10 amp brick, goes to the plus and minus voltage on the LED strip. The data line comes off of the LED strip and I have a little pin header that connects to D15, IO pin 15 on the ESP32. And I've also run a wire from the ground side of the power supply to the ground pin on the ESP32 to get those at the same reference. The ESP32 is still connected in to the USB port to the computer, and that's what's powering it. And the application here on the screen, I have it pointing to 192.168.1.32, and that makes the connection through the network and the Wi-Fi to the board. So let's take a look at what we can do with this a little bit here. Okay, so I'm back here at the home screen, and you can see I just unspooled some of the LEDs around here. Here's the brightness slider, so you can adjust this, bring it up and down. Of course, the camera has auto exposures, and that's going to kind of fight me. You got this color wheel here, so you can spin this over to say red, and it lights them up red, yellow, whatever colors you want. You can spin this around. You can control the value and the brightness here, as well as up here. I'm not sure why there's two. You can control the temperature. If I bring this one up, this is the white channel. So you can see it's brought up the white, and I can turn down the green. So now it's just doing white. Turn them off here, go back to this. And they have all these different patterns here. So, look at like Android here. It does a chase. There's blink. And you can control the rates and the colors. It just goes on and on here. There's just all sorts of crazy stuff, which probably won't be using in the ham shack here, but the solid color ones, color wrinkles, here we go. Lighten up all the different colors. Dissolve. I don't know, that doesn't, nope, there it goes. DJ light. So this just goes on and on, how many crazy things you want to do there. It's cycling through the colors. Halloween eyes, who knows what these terms mean. Sometimes, I don't know, there it goes. Heartbeat. This is going through all the colors. It just goes on and on. Here's a rainbow one. Rainbow runner, going to chase through. So there's just all sorts of stuff you can do here. I think I'm pretty much interested in solid colors, I'll probably, run a red light here, or maybe a blue light over when I get the shelves installed here, or get the lights added to the shelves. You can generate presets. It says I have no presets yet, so I can add a preset. Quick label, let's make it blue. No, that didn't do it there. Oh, here we go, blue. Use current state, and I can save that. Now I got a blue. I can go back here and select red, add another one, and make that red. Save, and now I have presets here that I can click on and change this. So whatever you got as your favorites, you can do that. So to mount the LEDs, I bought these aluminum channel mounting strips. So it's a U shape, so the LEDs will fit inside here, and the LEDs have a peel off stick-on back. These things are 3 feet long, so they'll fit up underneath the lip of the shelf here with about an inch to spare. I used 2 of them. And on the this side of the channel is a white diffuser piece that snaps in that they can diffuse the light. And then these are held on and with little clips that screw in underneath the shelf. Then the aluminum strip will plug into that. Yeah. So I'm going to have 3 segments in my setup here. One here, one up at the top, and one on the back side. Now you can wire all the LEDs in series and create segments in the software. So you tell it segment 1 is from this number LED to this number of LED, then segment 2 would be the next LED to whatever the length is. You can go on like that. Or you can use multiple GPIO output pins on the ESP32, and then in the configuration software you assign segment 1 to pin X, segment 2 to pin Y, segment 3 to pin Z or whatever, and then you'll be able to control each of the segments separately. The other thing I need to do here is make up some lengths of 3-conductor wire. Because what I'm going to do is that on the edge of the shelf over here in the corners, I'm just going to run the wires out the back. I don't have a case yet for the ESP32, so it's going to be kind of just sitting behind the old Helicrafter's receiver here. So I'm going to make up some 3-conductor cables so I can feed power, ground, and data up to the LED strings. I've got some little pin headers, they call them the DuPont jumpers for all the Arduino boards. They have the little socket pins that'll fit on the pins on the Arduino, so I'll just cut up some of those and solder them on the end of the data line so I can just plug them on the back of the board. So that's what I have to do now, just a lot of assembly work, and we'll see how it goes. All the cables made up, so I've got it running here on the bench, all 3 strips running, and I have my good old Simpson 260 VOM meter connected here to measure the current. So right now it's running at very low brightness, and it's drawing maybe 0.8 of an amp. Let me just, with this pattern here, I'll raise it all the way up. It gets pretty bright. That's just about 4.2 amps. And if I go here to a solid color of white, it's drawing about 7.6 amps at the moment. I have my 60 amp power supply connected, and I do have the configuration here or have the current limiting set for 60 amps. Just to show you what happens here if I drop it down to 10 amps and save. You can see it dropped the brightness down, and it's now drawing about 4.4 amps. So this set at 60 amps, even though I'm not using it anywhere near it. I'm not sure that relationship that's going on here, but it certainly gets pretty bright. I see dots in my eyes now, spots. That's pretty bright. Okay, so next thing to do is work on the channels, getting them mounted up underneath the shelf here. Well, I've got the strips mounted at the lower and the upper shelf here on the front. I have not mounted the strip on the back. It was going to be a pretty time-consuming thing. I'd have to take some stuff off the top shelf here, and there's a lot of cables that go over the back. So I just have the two here running for now. So, and I've been playing with this, and I got all the radios and the amp and the antenna tuner all turned on here, so you can see all the displays. And if we look at the WLED screen here, I have a bunch of presets here, and I also have two segments. So I have the lower segment and the upper segment, and then I have these presets here for the different colors. So this is what I call bright white, which is useful if I'm like writing here on the table and stuff. I can see well, or I can dim these down to a dimmer white. And then I have like an amber, kind of a yellowish orange color. And you know, nothing really washes out the display. Blue gives it a very cool looking, futuristic. You know, I think radio works better when it's in the dark. You know, it's just the old mystery of tuning around to see what you can find. I have a green. That color doesn't excite me too much. And the red is, you know, if you want to be in submarine mode, I guess, and it matches the red of my, you know, my screens and my red shelves. Everything gets pretty red. So go back here to the bright white. So and again, you can vary the brightness. If I turn this, that's like all the way up on the white, so I could work on things here. There's enough light to see, and press my preset here, the brightness goes back down, and of course we have, you know, all the crazy patterns, which probably make next to no sense working here. You know, pretty pretty disturbing. And there's sliders at the bottom of the screen here. You can vary the speed and say the number that thing is lit up. And go back to my colors. Anyway, so there's a lot you can play with. Here's a kind of a rainbow that's stepping through different colors. So here I have my tiny SA running, just sitting in front of the amplifier with just the little antenna pulled out, so it could be picking up noise from the monitors or the amplifier or the radio or whatever. But that's what it looks like with the LEDs off. I turn the LED on, you can see there's a little spike there that kind of jumps and moves around, but I don't think that's going to cause me any problems here. So at least I'm not seeing a big, you know, a big spike on a single frequency or multiple frequencies, or the overall noise floor pull up by, you know, 10, 20 dB or something. And my antennas, you know, right now I'm on my 20 meter beam, so that's like 100 feet away and 50 feet up. So I'm not too concerned with anything about that. Okay, well, I think that's going to wrap this off. I shut off all the lights in the room, so it's just what you see here on the screen. You know, the LEDs lighting them up. There I am back in the bright white. I can go here to the amber, say blue. That's pretty neat looking, blue and the red contrast with the screens. Again, like I said, I don't care too much for the green. And the red is useful if you want that submarine look. So I think this is a wrap. It's been a long video. I hope you all enjoyed this. Give you some ideas to play around in your own ham shack. And I'm just going to end it here. And if you like this, please give me a thumbs up. Hit that like button, share. And I'll just close out here with a little bit of different patterns and stuff going on. So 73s, and thanks for watching. This is Randy, K7AGE.